Guys, it's happening. It's happened already, actually. Florian Wirtz is a Liverpool player. Upwards of £116 million, by the way. Breaking the British transfer record, becoming officially the most expensive Premier League signing ever. More than Moises Caicedo, Enzo Fernandez, Declan Rice even. And I could not be happier as a Liverpool fan. We've just signed world-class talent Florian Wirtz. He's a superstar already. And yeah, £116 million for him. And when a player goes for that much money, the whole world is just going to be watching and waiting for him to screw up. There's going to be a lot of eyes on Wirtz expecting him to perform at a level that resembles that price tag he went for. And honestly, I'm not even worried that he might screw up because I think he's that good. I'm not worried about him at all. He is that good of a player. He can handle the pressure. He just oozes quality and confidence. He is amazing. And if you guys aren't familiar with Florian Wirtz, let me just glaze for a second. Firstly, he's Bayer Leverkusen's youngest debutant in the Bundesliga. 17 years and 15 days old. He became the youngest scorer in the Bundesliga for Leverkusen, 17 days, 34 days old. A really bright start. Then he tore his ACL that early in his career, a major setback for a superstar rising up in the world. He was out for nearly 10 months due to that ACL injury. And he didn't just come back from that ACL injury, he elevated as a player. He was different gravy. He came back with a fire in his belly, ready to light the Bundesliga up. He led his team Bayer Leverkusen to a historic, invincible Bundesliga winning season. They never even won the Bundesliga before him. And that season was just ridiculous for Leverkusen in general. They had about, every single match, it seemed like they scored a 90th minute winner just to secure 3 points. It was literally every match. Go look it up. And Wirtz was the main man, the magician in the middle of the park, conducting their success. Leverkusen also won the German Cup that year, making it a invincible double. And if it wasn't for one match, they would have had an invincible treble, winning the Europa League, Bundesliga, and the DFB Pokal. The Europa League final matchup against Atalanta was the only loss they registered all season long. Ademola Lookman single-handedly ruined Leverkusen's magical season. And it still is a magical season, but that would have capped it off. Invincible treble would have been ridiculous. One for the history books. Moving to more recently, Wirtz had 31 goals and assists in 45 games last season for Leverkusen. A very impressive campaign, but there was no Bundesliga title to go with it this time. Bayern Munich obviously came back and won the league as they normally should do. Harry Kane winning his first trophy. So he opted to leave Leverkusen this summer, with heaps of clubs running in to try to snatch him up. Obviously, being a German superstar in the Bundesliga, Bayern Munich was sniffing at him for ages, trying to get him to sign for them. But Wirtz wasn't fazed and wasn't really shook by Bayern Munich's interest. He wanted to go somewhere else. Basically, he didn't want to move to another Bundesliga side and disrespect Bayer Leverkusen, the club that have stuck with him for so long. The ACL injury, he was so young when he joined. He's the wonder boy for Leverkusen, so he wants to respect the club. So then Manchester City came calling, and obviously there was interest because Kevin De Bruyne has left them. Losing a player of that caliber, they need a world-class playmaker to even try fill KDB's shoes. And it seemed it was going pretty smoothly. On paper, you have Haaland and Wirtz on the same team. Erling Haaland running in behind and Wirtz just dinking all the balls over to him. Who was going to stop them? But in the end, Manchester City actually dropped out of the deal and lost interest due to his 100 million plus price tag, which was always going to be the case. They just weren't ready to commit to a signing of that scale for that much money. Now, I say dropped out, but we don't really know if Wirtz actually just declined Manchester City, or maybe they actually did lose interest in him and went for Ryan Cherky, which they have. Because Wirtz made it pretty clear that he wanted to join Liverpool. He made it very clear from the start. He chose the project of Liverpool. And now we're here. We made it. Liverpool have Florian Wirtz at their disposal. We have one of the best attacking midfielders in the world. We haven't had one of that caliber since Philippe Coutinho. And guys, this signing feels like a statement, a message from the higher-ups at Liverpool. Liverpool don't just go out and buy a player of that caliber very often. One of the best players in the world right now. And yeah, you might say, what about Salah? What about Van Dijk? Yada, yada. But I mean, a player right now approaching the peak of his powers, or maybe already in the peak of his powers. Mo Salah was good at Roma, but he wasn't already one of the best right-wingers in the world. Same with Alisson, same team, Roma, but he was not one of the best goalkeepers in the world at the time. Van Dijk was just playing for Southampton. He was very good in the Premier League, but he wasn't top 5 centre-backs in the Premier League that he is now. They all became the best, but Wirtz is one of the best right now, if you get what I'm saying. There's also players like Fernando Torres and Luis Suarez. We signed them very early stages before they lit the world apart and became footballing icons, really. They were both up-and-coming strikers, really young, and we took a risk on them. And I assure you, there is no risk, zero risk with the Wirtz signing. He's established in the game and he is a household name already. Now, I say a statement signing because that really reminds me of how dominant Premier League teams move in the transfer windows. For example, Pep Guardiola's Manchester City's teams of late. Guardiola would fine-tune his teams to make sure they would never fall from the top. You know, Sergio Aguero leaves the club, but Erling Haaland's already lined up in the transfer window right away. That aggressiveness in the window with signings and outgoings too. You know, Pep doesn't like João Cancelo's attitude with the team, so then he ships him off to Barcelona when he was the best left-back in the Premier League the season prior, which made them win it. He was a huge part of that success. Kyle Walker too this season. He was too crap, so he shipped him off to AC Milan like straight away in the summer. He wasn't good enough for his team. Now, to me, Wirtz's signing is the club basically telling everybody, we are the title favourites next season, come and take it off of us. Because reaching the top isn't the hardest part, it's staying there, sustaining it. In 2022, Liverpool were on course for a quadruple season. And in the end, we didn't, but then all that effort put into that season had a backfire on the next season after. In the window between those seasons, we signed Darwin Núñez as the only backup, and then we finished 5th after all the tired legs from the season before. Only one signing from being almost quadruple winners, and we don't attract enough business in the window to keep the team fresh and new. So to stay at the top, you need to be ruthless with recruitment and constantly keep adding pieces here and there to improve the squad. Otherwise, you just get a bunch of tired legs in the dressing room and then like passengers that shouldn't even be there. Now, I'm also confident with the signings of Milos Kerkez and Jeremy Frimpong, former teammate of Florian Wirtz at Leverkusen too. The level of this team is going to elevate and it's going to add heaps of new dynamics for the squad. We desperately needed some more creativeness and firepower in this team. Salah and only Salah was creating most of the chances for the whole team. If Mo Salah was nullified or if he had an off game, we were cooked. He was so integral to our success that a large chunk of Liverpool's goals and assists were just from him single-handedly last season. 29 goals and 18 assists just from Salah. 47 goals and assists in 38 games in the Premier League last season. He had a large chunk of attacking responsibilities on his shoulders he was carrying. But now Florian Wirtz is there to help him release the burden off his shoulders. He can take some of the weight off of Mohamed Salah's shoulders so we don't have to be as reliant on him. Now, how are Liverpool going to line up with Florian Wirtz in that starting 11? Out of possession, nothing changes. I think Arne Slot's going to stick with the 4-2-3-1. But then in possession, it's going to invert to like a 3-4-3. Let me explain. Ryan Gravenberch was being experimented as like a third centre-back at the end of last season. Arne Slot might drag him back to have 3 centre-backs. That's going to allow our right-back and left-back, Frimpong and Kerkez, to absolutely bomb forward and create heaps of attacking opportunities. They're pretty much wingers at this point, really. Jeremy Frimpong is a winger for the Netherlands. And Sozabla is going to drop down next to McAllister in centre mid, have a double pivot. And then Wirtz is going to be the left number 10, the left attacking mid. Salah's going to be more of an attacking mid himself. He's going to scoot in, not be a touchline winger. And then there's obviously going to be a striker ahead of them. There's clearly a different philosophy Arne Slot's trying to install into this team. With these flying fullbacks and Wirtz in attacking areas. Wirtz will loom around the left wing and then gradually drift towards the box. So he can be as big of a goal threat as he can be, like Salah has been recently. When Arne Slot came in, he pretty much changed Salah's whole role. Salah used to be a touchline winger, and then Slot was like, no, you're going to be as big of a goal threat as you can. Put him as close to the box as you physically can. That way he can get like 40 plus goals and assists like Salah did last season. Now, I'm not saying Wirtz is going to score 50 goals and assists like Salah did last season, but I really hope he does. Now, finally, to wrap this up, transfers like this deal are great for the Premier League. You know, bringing in the best player from the Bundesliga into the Premier League. It's just an exciting time. And signings like this really make the league like a breath of fresh air and really spice it up. You know, Kevin De Bruyne is leaving, Trent's left, and there were some of the greatest creators we've seen in the Premier League. It's a huge loss of quality, but now Wirtz is coming in to replace them. And Man City have Ryan Cherki. He's a great attacking midfielder too. We'll see what Arsenal buy. And then there's all the other teams in the league still too. 25-26 season of the Premier League is going to be pure cinema. We're going to be feasting. Really exciting times ahead of us. And just remember, Arne Slot took Jurgen Klopp's Liverpool team pretty much and propelled them so much to win the Premier League by a mile. All Slot added to the team was Chiesa, but he barely even featured. And now he's adding to that Premier League winning team with players like this. And Arne Slot's tactical adjustments and flexibility. We all knew Liverpool were going to win the league by like January. You know, Arsenal weren't going to catch up to us. Now, obviously next season there's going to be competition, but Who's to say with signings like this that we can't just dominate the Premier League for years to come? Florian Wirtz, Liverpool. I can't wait to see him ball out. Thanks for hearing out my hot takes and my opinions. I appreciate you guys tuning into these videos and watching them. I really do. Like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.